Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Balabha Giribharadhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Balabha Giribharadhari. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimadhi Sivain Vaisaisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Shiman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishi Guru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonum, Chapter 70, Lord Krishna's Daily Activities. Text 22 through 24. Agato Purvadarshana Vignapito Bhagavate Pratiharay Pravishitaha tatraika purusho raja agato purvadarshana vyaknapito bhagavate pratiharai praveshita trataika purusho rajam agato purvadarshanaha vigyapito bhagavate pratiharai praveshitaha. Tatra, there, ekaha, one, purushaha, person, rajam, O king Parikshit, agataha, did come, apurva, never before, darshanaha, whose appearance, vigyapitaha, announced, bhagavate, to the Supreme Lord, pratiharai, by the doorkeepers, praveshitaha, made to enter. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Once a certain person arrived in the assembly, O king, who had never been seen there before. The doorkeepers announced him to the Lord and then escort him inside. Text number 23. Sanamaskritya Krishnaya Pareshaya Kritanjali Rajyan Avedayadukam Jarasandan Nirodhajam. Translation. That person bowed down to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with joined palms he described to the Lord how a number of kings were suffering because Jarasandha has imprisoned them. Text number 24. Je chadik bijate tasya sanantin na jajurnripa prasahya rudas te nasham ayute dwe giri braje. 20,000 kings who have refused to submit absolutely to Jarasandha during his world conquest has been forcibly imprisoned by him in the fortress named Giri Braja, purported by his Srila Prabhupada disciples. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that these kings refused the payment of tribute and other forms of submission to Jarasandha. Also, there is a well-known account in the Mahabharata and other literatures that Jarasandha desired to worship Mahabhairavaya by offering him the life of 100,000 kings in sacrifice. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitangena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Shrimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So the narration of Krishna's daily activities at this moment of the narration within the context of the big historical uh, narration of the Mahabharata is a very important pivotal moment in Krishna's establishing the perfect arrangement to fulfill the purpose of his descent during Dwarpa Yuga. As we recall, Mother Earth have come to Lord Brahma to ask for help because she was overburdened by so many demoniac forces and kings that were abusing her by exploiting the resources of earth without just not for the purpose of Jagya, of the system of Jagya, but for the purpose of their own selfish motivations. So demoniac forces. And when Lord Brahma approached Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk, Lord Vishnu instructed the demigods that he will descend himself to free Mother Earth from that burden, and instructed the demigods to take birth and in the dynasty of Maharaj Jadu, the Yadavas, to assist him. So during this particular time in which the within the narrations of Krishna daily activities, then this very specific personality who was um, within the regular things that will happen in a daily basis in Krishna's activities as a king, as a leader of the Yadavas. We heard yesterday, or we heard throughout the week. Thank you, Prabhu. Wow, ginger tea and hot. Thank you. Oh, so we have heard throughout the beginning of this chapter that Krishna will come into this great Sudarshan hall, Sudarshan Shabda, or the hall, the government hall. And as he entered, all these things happens. There's all these musicians and artists entertaining the Lord and all the king's presence there. And then now comes the work of governance. And people will come and place different problems that the Lord will address. One of these such occasions, and Maharaj Pariksit narrate is very important. It's like a very um, almost like pivotal uh, situation in which this very specific messenger came into the assembly to address the Lord and present a problem. So this was a servant of one of the kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha. And he comes to request the Lord to please save them. They actually, all these kings, they understood that only Lord Krishna can save them, and therefore they surrendered to Lord Krishna. They submitted themselves to Lord Krishna. So, back in track a little bit, within the context of Mahabharata, this particular time. During this particular time, there's a lot of things that are happening. One, that is a very important part of Krishna's pastimes and very important part in the development of the whole story of the Mahabharata is the flourishment of the kingdom of Maharaj Yudhisthira in Indraprastha. You recall in the Mahabharata narration that there was this great enmity that happens within the Kaurava kingdom, which at that moment was ruled by the blind king Dhritarashtra, and whose 100 sons, headed by Duryodhan, Prince Duryodhan, has a great enmity with the sons of Maharaj Pandu, who was the ruler of the Kurus, but who have died um, by a whole set of circumstances. He have died. So the Pandavas, the son of Maharaj Pandu, were the natural inheritors of the kingdom of the Kurus, which at that time were the greatest dynasty and rulers of the world. They were descendants of Bharat Maharaj, by which the whole earth has been named. The earth is known as Bharat Barsha, which is named after King Bharat, who was the among the forefathers of the Kurus. So Dhritarashtra, in order and under the counselor of Bhishma and Vidura and Dronacharya and Kripacharya, in order to have peace in the whole Kuru dynasty, he have divided the vast kingdom of the Kurus into two parts. So he gave half of the kingdom to Maharaj Yudhisthira. However, Dhritarashtra was so biased that he gave the half that he gave to Maharaj Yudhisthira was a barren land. It's a land that had been cursed. It's a land, the Kandana forest, that in previous times was the, the, the place in which the Kuru capital was in place. However, because of an offense that the king at that time has committed to a sage, then the whole area was cursed. And through the time, it had become barren land in which nothing can grow. It was barren. there was no life, and became a cradle for all kinds of um, um, demonic entities. So that's the land that Dhritarashtra gave to Yudhisthira. Yudhisthira understood that. He knew. Everybody knew. And everybody could see Dhritarashtra's bias. And, you know, him and his sons remain in Hastinapura with all, the proper, the better half of the kingdom. Yudhisthira accepted because Yudhisthira was very much fixed. He became known as Dharmaraj, the king of Dharma. In fact, as we know, Yudhisthira was begotten by Dharmaraj himself, Yamaraj. So Yudhisthira was the emblem of Dharma, always acting according to Dharma. And one of the things, the principles that Yudhisthira was very much embraced was respect to his elders. So he will obey the king regardless. And throughout the whole Mahabharata, Yudhisthira maintained that principle, and he have to go through so much tribulations because holding to that principle, even when questioned by everybody, including his brothers and his wife, Draupadi. But he will remain steady, and he proved that was, the perfect instrument for Krishna to perform his wonderful pastimes. So, Maharaj Yudhisthira received Indraprastha, received the Kandava forest. And with the help of Krishna, that whole place became the kingdom of Indraprastha. Krishna ordered Indra to sprinkle this celestial um, 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 liquid into the land, and the land immediately became perfectly, it flourished into this beautiful land. And then he ordered Vishwakarma to construct a great city. So the city became known as Indraprastha because it was so opulent that it was equal to the great city in the heavens of Lord Indra. And then through different pastimes, then um this great Danava, his name was Maya, who was the architect of the Danavas, of the sort of celestial type of demons, um, in order to pay um, to you know he was saved by Arjuna, and in order to pay Arjuna for sparing his life, he agreed to build a great assembly hall. And that assembly hall was called the Maya Shabda, or the assembly of Maya. So during this period of time, as Maharaj Yudhisthira was established as the king of Indraprastha, he ruled. And he ruled as Dharmaraj. And during that time, his rule was so ideal that everything flourished so wonderfully. to the point that the whole kingdom became full of merchants, brahmanas, people. Everybody will come, want to be part of staying in the kingdom of Maharaj Yudhisthira. So this is during this period of time, the flourishment of the kingdom of the Pandavas in Indraprastha. In the narrations of the of the Mahabharata, it is explained that during such occasion as Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers and all the members, of the government of the kingdom were sitting in the great hall, the Maya Shabda, Narada Muni and many rishis will come and they will be properly worshipped and seated. And Narada Muni, eh, he has these very wonderful exchanges with Maharaj Yudhisthira. Maharaj Yudhisthira asks many questions about how to fulfill his duties as a king. So it's a very nice instructions that are there in the Mahabharata. Then he noticed that Narada Muni was looking with great amazement at this wonderful assembly hall. So he's looking. And then Maharaj Yudhisthira noticed that. So he asked him, he travels throughout the whole universe. I have seen the different cities of the demigods, of the many, many gods. And of course, he have seen the great assembly halls of all these great cities in which these different devatas, they rule. So, have you seen something comparable to this Maya Shabda? And then Narada Muni start to describe all the different assembly halls that were part of these different capital cities of the demigods. So he described the assembly hall of Lord Indra and Yamaraj and Varuna and all these different demigods. Wonderful assembly halls. And then, as describing the assembly halls, he started to narrate, or explain all the different forefathers, the kings of of um, the forefathers of the Pandavas, of the Kurus, and who were present on these different assembly halls. Most of the kings of, of, the, of the Kuru dynasty were in the assembly hall of Yamaraj. But when he described the assembly hall of King Indra, then there was one of the Kuru kings who was in that assembly. Only one. His name was Harishchandra. Harishchandra. And then Maharaj Yudhisthira became curious. Why is Harishchandra in there and my father is and most of the other kings, including my father, is in the assembly hall of Yamaraj? What was the difference? What Maharaj Harishchandra did in order to be able to be part of the assembly of the King of Heaven? So Narada Muni explained that Maharaj Harishchandra has performed the Rajasuya sacrifice. And because of performing this great, great sacrifice perfectly, he was he entered into he was accepted into the assembly of the King of Heaven. And then Narada Muni revealed to to um, to Maharaj Yudhisthira that his father Pandu as well as him, Narada Muni, who is known that he perfectly understands and is in sync with the plans of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He understands always what the plan of the Lord is. And he is so in tune and so in sync with that he is constantly facilitating the development of the Lord's plan in the world. So Narada Muni reveals to Maharaj Yudhisthira that his father Pandu, as well as himself, understands that he, Yudhisthira, must perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. And with the performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice, Maharaj Yudhisthira will gain entrance into the assembly of Indra, and not only him, but also Maharaj Pandu, his father, will be promoted to the assembly of Lord Indra. So Maharaj Yudhisthira received this order, and as his kingdom flourished, he considered that, and then understanding that he felt himself, well, he doesn't have the resources, and anyway, before thinking of doing anything of this magnitude, he have to have Krishna's permission. So he requested Narada, he expressed his heart to Narada, and Narada said, yes, I am planning to go to Dwarka and see the Lord. And then we know that after that, Narada went to Dwarka. After some time, he went to Dwarka. And then he was the previous chapter, he witnessed, the wonderful activities of the Lord. And now, in this chapter, we're going to see when Narada comes, and the following verses I'm going to keep hearing, Narada enters the Sudarshan Shabda and, and communicates to Lord Krishna this instruction that has been given by the orders of the demigods to Maharaj Yudhisthira. And also Maharaj Yudhisthira requests that Krishna, to have Krishna's uh, approval, and also inviting Krishna back to Indraprastha to guide him and to assist him. So all the thing is happening. This is a background that is there. Maharaj Yudhisthira have flourished in this wonderful kingdom of the Indraprastha kingdom. There is the order of the um, Rajasuya sacrifice. The Rajasuya sacrifice was so important because in order for the Rajasuya sacrifice to happen, is that the king who performed that have to have all the different kingdoms of the world have to submit to that king, and then offer their make an offering, a contribution to the sacrifice under this ruler. So it's understood that the performer of the Rajasuya sacrifice becomes the emperor of the whole world. So, in general, to conquer the whole world like that, he have to conquer over all other kings. The ones who will do it voluntarily, and by force, the one who don't want to surrender. So this will mean that the great Dharmaraj, Maharaj Yudhisthira, would establish the same type of perfectly dharmic kingdom, not just in Indraprastha, but extend to the whole world, which was part of the plan of the Lord. And for that, through force, then he have to subdue all the demoniac kings. So it was a very important plan for that is part instrumental for the Lord's decision or for the Lord's purposes. So Maharaj Yudhisthira mentality was like this. Let me see if I find something to read you. It's very beautiful. Maharaj Yudhisthira thought that I have to pull out the book and things like that, but I just tell you. Maharaj Yudhisthira thought the following. For himself, he doesn't want sovereignty over the whole world. He doesn't have that type of desire for power. But he understood one thing, that Narada is telling that this is the plan of the Lord. So for the Lord's purpose, he must do. And not only that, he will use the establishment, this Rajasuya sacrifice for him is the main purpose is not for him to become the emperor of the world. For him, the main purpose is to establish Lord Krishna as the most worshipable personality. And everyone who is under him have to submit to Lord Krishna. So during the Rajasuya sacrifice, he will establish Krishna as the highest personality in front of all the devatas that are there, that include Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, everybody. All the rishis that are there, that include Vyasadev, Narada, Devala, Asita, all the greats, rishis, all of them will worship Krishna in front of the world. And therefore, all the kings will have to accept Krishna. That was Maharaj Yudhisthira's focus and purpose for doing that. Now, another thing that is happening during this time, another king that was flourishing in power during this time was King Jarasandha. His kingdom was the Magadha kingdom. And it's a kingdom that was in the middle of India, and Jarasandha was extremely powerful. The background of Jarasandha is that in his previous life, he was one of the principals Danavas, or demons. As you recall in the in the narrations of the Bhagavatam, uh, Kashyapa Muni had two wives, Diti and Aditi. So the sons of Aditi became the demigods, and the sons of Diti became the demons. And the difference was that Diti approached Kashyapa in a in a time that was in an inauspicious time, and then during all kinds of inauspicious both motivations and time, then the daitas or the demons became manifested. So these daitas uh, have many divisions. Among theirs is the Danavas. And the Danavas, particularly Jarasandha, was one of the principal Danavas in his previous life. His name was Viprachiti. Viprachiti was chief among the Danavas, and he part of the thing that happens in Dwarpa Yuga is that many demoniac entities took birth in the earthly region and then were as kings and kshatriyas. This Jarasandha was chief among them. Well, very, very powerful. And we know that Jarasandha supported Kamsa, and Jarasandha's daughter was married to Kamsa. So Kamsa was the son-in-law of Jarasandha. And with Jarasandha's um, support, Kamsa was very powerful. When Krishna killed Kamsa, then Jarasandha became an enemy of Krishna, and he wanted to destroy Krishna to avenge, the killing of Kamsa. We know that 17 times he tried. He amassed, these huge armies, and he attacked uh, Mathura, the kingdom uh, of the Vrishnis and the Yadavas, where Krishna was there. He attacked 17 times. And 17 times Krishna wiped him out and left him alive. Only him was, left alive, completely humiliated. Now we understand why did Krishna kill that demon. I mean, he killed so many demons. Why not killing that fellow? But this Jarasandha, being chief among these demoniac kings, was very instrumental for the Lord to fulfill his purpose of wiping out all these, paritranaya sadhuna, vinashaya chaduskritan, to wipe out all these duskritinas. So Jarasandha constantly will build all these forces, and Krishna will wipe them. In the 18th time, however, he appeared that he defeated Krishna. As you recall, also we heard that during the time that this um, Melecha king, his name, what was his name? Um, the one that was killed by Muchukunda, Kalia, Kaliaban. Remember? Kaliaban, yes. So that during there was this two-pronged attack. This attack to Mathura by this Melecha king, and then by Jarasandha. So Krishna eliminated through Muchukunda, this king, but Jarasandha took advantage and attacked Mathura. During that time, Krishna moved Mathura to Dwarka. Remember the whole pastime? And appear that Jarasandha have defeated Krishna. Remember that he pursued Krishna, and then he set the whole mountain where Krishna was hiding into fire. And then Krishna jumped with Balaram from the top of the mountain, like that, and escaped, came back to Dwarka. and then went to marry Rukmini and the whole thing. So, so Jarasandha thought maybe he's dead, and he defeated Krishna. Now Jarasandha became very puffed up. And from that time, he really started into this world conquest. He was so powerful. He was able to conquer so many. I mean, like, so the whole idea is that he was conquering so many, 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 many kings. This world conquest. And, he really covered a huge amount of kingdoms. And the ones who were not accepting, he was in prison. His capital city was this Giriraja city, which was surrounded by mountains. So it was like a fortress. It was difficult to attack. So Jarasandha will capture all these kings that won't submit to him. And in order to become unconquerable, his plan was he will make this great sacrifice. And it's like the Ashwamedha sacrifice that you sacrifice animals, a horse, or you sacrifice a whole group of animals. Well, he's going to sacrifice kings, 100,000 kings to Lord Shiva. This form of Lord Shiva, what is it? How they, Vaivarata, Vairavata, is a form of Lord Shiva that he manifests at the time of annihilation. So, so then the plan was he was going to offer 100,000 kings. So he was in this conquest to conquer. Similar to what Maharaj Yudhisthira is going to do. Maharaj Yudhisthira, in order to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, you said both of them have to conquer the world to perform a yajna. Maharaj Yudhisthira was the Rajasuya. Jarasandha was this yajna, or this fire, this offering of 100,000 kings to Lord Shiva. So it is explained. So here's some of the kingdom of the influence that Jarasandha had. So let me read you here. This is some of the kings that are under this Jarasandha and the influence he had. So this is all happening at that time. So I give you the picture of the whole, how you say, background in which this messenger comes to Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna from there is going to go to Indraprastha and understand that these two things that are happening simultaneously, Jarasandha's flourishing and conquering in a world conquest, and Maharaj Yudhisthira that have to start a world conquest. So you have to eliminate Jarasandha. And with that, both things will be addressed. So this is what is going to, happens during the next couple of chapters. So Jarasanda's power, as explained by Krishna to Yudhishthira. This is in the Mahabharata. Jarasandha is the emperor of the middle portion of the earth. He has overpowered all the kings. He is the lord of all the kings. Shishupal, remember Shishupal, serving as the commander of his army. So he have other kings serving him. So Shishupal was a king. I can't remember the kingdom of Shishupal, but he was the chief, the commander of his army. King of Karusha, Dantavakra, remember Dantavakra, Krishna is going to take care of him, with illusory powers has become his disciple. Hamsa, Dimbaka, Megabahana, and Karabha, all great warriors, has become subservient to Jarasandha. So he have all these demons that were part of his entourage, and they all together. And Krishna is gonna, it's almost like you get them all in one space, so it's easy to take care. The king of the Javanas, the most powerful in the west, Bhagadata, who defeated Naraka and Mura, even he bows his head before Jarasandha. Paundraka, Vasudeva, is loyal to him. Remember Paundraka? Bhishmaka, Rukmini's father, who ruled over one-fourth of the world, pays respect to Jarasandha. So, people were not facing this fellow. 18 clans of the Bojas of the north had fled to the west, fearing Jarasandha. Kings such as Surasena, Badraka, Bodha, Shalwa, Patachara, Shushtala, Shukuta, Kulindi, Kunti, and Shalwajana have fled to the south in fear of Jarasandha. Even kings of the southern Panchala, eastern Kunti, Koshala, Matsya, and Sanyastapad have fled to the south. All the Kshatriyas of Panchala have run away wherever they could. Kansa has married Jarasandha's two daughters. Kansa derived his power from Jarasandha. Even if the 18 clans of the Yadavas under Krishna and Balaram try 300 years, they still will not be able to defeat him. They have to relocate to Dwarka on the perpetual attack by Jarasandha. So, very powerful, influential fellow. So he have to be taken care. And this is what is going on right now. So these messengers come to inform Krishna. Narada comes and inform Krishna about Yudhishthira, a celestial order to do the Rajasuya, and Yudhishthira requests for Krishna's assistance, and then how Krishna is going to take care of this too. Nice, no? Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Prabhu, for your class. In-depth, in-depth presentation, and just the fact that you took the time to even study. Um, Coming up in the West, or Chicago West, it's hard to um, take these pastimes of Mahabharata as so important, so serious, to spend the time and take the time to learn these things. Um, so I was wondering if you could say a little bit about that, how important it is for us to understand these
Well, it's important because within the Mahabharata is the whole context of Krishna's pastimes. And, you know, then I mean the Srimad Bhagavatam is just focused on Krishna's pastime, but the Mahabharata gives you the historical background and context. So it's almost like you place things and then now it becomes part of a whole narrative, and is very wonderful. And now you have a much bigger picture of the historical elements, of the Mahabharata. And it's so the Mahabharata becomes um, just like the Ramayana is so accurate because it gives you not only a historical context with personalities, but also geography, and it gives you entrance into the whole Vedic culture. So when Vyasadeva compiled the Mahabharata, he was thinking about regular people. Because for regular people, like you say, for Chicago people, the people of Chicago, the people of Chicago is regular people. So Vyasadeva could see that regular people, you give them Vedanta sutras, and you give them Upanishads, and you give them, all these philosophical tests, that would be very difficult for them to understand. It's almost like your brain shut down, after some time because, philosophy is just. But then the Mahabharata will give you that same training of how to live according to Dharma within a context of the historical events and the lives of great, great personalities that exemplify that. So, and within that context, the pastimes of the Lord, you know, and the establishment of the supremacy of the personality of Godhead performing his pastimes in this world. So people that are of demoniac propensity, because they see these amazing pastimes of the Lord that are narrated there, and some of the superhuman uh, capacities that individuals within that narration have, kings and rishis with mystic powers, and the exchange that happens there between demigods, and all these things. Oh, it's mythology. So, but we don't understand. We understand this as history. And for us, the capacity that we have to accept this as history is due that we have been connected by the mercy of the devotees to the line of the disciplic succession.
Um, to connect with that is, what would you say would be the first step for a person to, in an organized, structured way, to get on track for having the proper guidance and actually learning from beginning to end? Because, like in the schools, we have first grade, second grade, third grade, like that they take us through. So, in this system, what would you say would be the way to approach like the first step to get through in a systematic way?
I mean,
The teachings.
the I say Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavad Gita is the is the essence of the Mahabharata. Everything in the Mahabharata is to set the stage for the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is, you know, is the book, is the ABC. Without the Bhagavad Gita, then, and studying the Bhagavad Gita, that sets you up to receive, the Bhagavatam. And with the Bhagavatam, you get, aspects of the Mahabharata and other scriptures, the Vedanta, everything. So these books, the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam is, right there. You got it. And then if you want to go further to understand more in depth the relational part, then the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's how Prabhupada put it. The graduate, postgraduate, and master. And just happens that I've been listening, I have these audiobooks, and I've been listening to Mahabharata for the last month. So I'm in the middle of the Mahabharata. Right now I'm in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's like, oof, I'm having a great fun listening to Mahabharata. So I have it fresh in my mind. Sharj?
The mention of the father of Rukmini paying homage to Jarasandha, it immediately came to mind, of course, that he was influenced by Rukmi, his son. And in fact, at the time when Krishna was kidnapping Rukmini, um, Rukmi had called upon exactly those demoniac kings that were part of
Yeah,
Jarasandha's.
she was to be betrothed to Shishupal.
Yes, yes, yes. And so
Jarasandha was there,
that's right. Yes, so that just came to mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I just heard something during, just see how, the things are that, when you have this the demoniac mentality, it's very difficult to change. Obviously, uh, Bhishmaka he wanted Krishna. He just couldn't, you know, face, he didn't have the capacity to defeat Jarasandha. And therefore, that was part of his, he couldn't do much. But Rukmi, Krishna defeated Rukmi and then making that funny haircut, and half a mustache and things like that. So then he went to, uh, he couldn't go back to his kingdom, and he did these austerities. Now, explain that during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, then now they're preparing for war, both the Pandavas and the Kurus. And then Rukmi show up to the to Maharaj Yudhishthir's camp with all his army, huge army. And he's thinking, well, I'm gonna just please my sister. So I'm gonna offer my support to Yudhishthir. But when he comes, here I am, I understand that you need my help, so I'm here to extend my help to you. um, you know I will defeat all these people. I know that you are in great need. And then, Yudhishthir was looking at the guy like compassionately in one sense, but Arjuna took offense and say, we're not in need. We can take care of ourselves. We don't need. I mean, he captured, there's this subtle thing that I came here to save you. We don't need you. you know, basically, you know, you want to help, but it's not that we need you. And then he goes, okay, you don't need me, I'm going to the other side. So he went to the Kurus and say, I'm come here to help you. I know that you're in need for defeating the Pandavas. I can take care of them. And Duryodhana say, "Poof, we don't need you. What is this? So it's sending away too. So you have to go eating. So part of, pride is just never satiates. Okay. Grantarashman Bhagavatam ki jai.